Greetings. You're listening to Rebels Remembered, featuring Caitlin DeFord and Kelsey DeFord.
Greetings, travelers across the galaxy. I am Kelsey.
I am Caitlin.
And welcome back to Rebels Remembered. And today we're discussing Season 3, Episode 10, Visions and Voices. Visions and Voices aired on December 10th, 2016. Synopsis reads, haunted by visions of Maul, Ezra must journey across the galaxy to engage in a strange ritual to sever his connection with Maul. This was written by Brent Friedman, directed by Bosco. I can never pronounce the man's last name.
I can't either.
I always look it up and I want to say how to pronounce it, but I can never. But his last name is spelled NG. And we have some trivia from Caitlin here.
Okay. So, trivia for this episode, which again you can find on StarWars.com. When describing the haunting visions of Maul that Ezra has at the start of the episode, Dave Filoni likened them to having a Freddy Krueger quality to them, which is very, very creepy.
Yeah.
We get an appearance from the Darksaber, which everyone knows I didn't when this episode aired, because I still have yet to see Clone Wars. Appeared in Clone Wars. It was in the Season 2 Mandalorian storyline. It has to do with Pre-Vizsla and all of that jazz. And so we get a glimpse into Maul's. He's got this little sanctuary in Dothamir, and it has battle droid heads, discarded helmets from former Mandalorian warriors, and he has a painting of Duchess Satine, also, which I find odd because spoiler alert, didn't he kill her?
Yes, so that's interesting that it's there because I really think that, yes, dun dun dun, spoiler, he does kill Satine. To Maul, that is his greatest accomplishment as far as hurting Obi-Wan.
Oh, okay.
Because that was a woman that he had great affection for and he killed her. And so it's creepy. It would be creepy that he would have...
I was wondering, like, it's almost like it's in a
mural.
shrine because there's candles around the saber and then her painting. I'm like, why would you have a picture of someone you murdered?
Because he considers that to be his greatest accomplishment in hurting Obi-Wan without actually killing him. Yeah, dude's obsessed with Obi-Wan.
So Kevin Kiner, he plays a piano-only refrain from her theme in Clone Wars when Ezra looks at her painting. Meredith, I apologize when I butcher their names, I don't mean to. Meredith Solinger and Anna Graves, two recurring actors from the Clone Wars, return to voice the Night Sister possessed incarnations. The little ghosties, which very, very creepy voice work from them. The Mandalorian writing, madly scrawled on the wall of Maul's sanctuary, translates to Kenobi. So this was new to me. I did not know. That's very disturbing too. The fact that he's just been scribbling that word over and over again in this place is very messed up.
Yeah, I will say, I guess, because I don't know a whole lot about Maul, but it's like, was this like his hideout that he just goes to randomly?
He tells Ezra it's a collection of things I've collected over the years of, like, basically his life, which is weird. It's still weird, though, yeah.
Yeah, it's creepy and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, remember, he was on Malachor for we don't know how long.
That's true.
That's why I was wondering, like, when is this the first time he's come back here?
Oh,
when was the last time he was here?
Well, maybe they'll get answered in the new series that's been announced.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. Just
maybe.
Fit the pieces between Clone Wars and Malachor. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. So in this episode, we get to go back to the Maul storyline. Obviously, we've just said his name like a bazillion times just in the intro here.
Yep.
So they're doing, like normal, doing a mission briefing at Chopper Base, and this is when Ezra starts to, like, first he hears Maul, and then you start seeing him in different places, and nobody else can see him, which is very creepy. It's very interesting too how they the animators and everyone in the animation set up these shots, because it's like from Ezra's point of view. And we get a lot of Ezra point of view shots throughout the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, and I always love when they do POV shots, because they don't normally do that.
Yeah,
normally it's the viewer watching them, it's not through their point of view. You have some more POV shots coming up from another episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always interesting to see how the camera kind of tracks as if they're looking at, whatever it is they're looking at. And you get to see, not only Ezra's, what he thinks he might be seeing, but also his hearing.
Yeah.
Like, as Hera is trying to talk about the mission, she kind of fades off.
Yeah.
So it's obviously he's tuning out because he's seeing this Maul run around everywhere.
And the way he's lit, too, like, literally all you see is this. You just see his eyes.
His eyes glowing.
Yeah, it's very...
So creepy.
Yeah. Maul has always been a fear of mine ever since. I think more for you. I think we established this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Childhood trauma with Maul growing up. I would not watch Phantom Menace, anything like marketing associated with it, like the commercials. If I saw him, I would run. Super creepy.
Yeah. So Ezra passes out, and then, like, he's awoken by Kanan and the rest of the Ghost crew, and, he starts basically saying, well, he was there, and they're like, well, you're just seeing things, you're overworked, that type of thing. And I love how he's like, well, he brushes away, like, well, I've just been working too hard, let's get back to the mission, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I love how we had this little moment between Kanan and Hera, where she's like, you could tell that Kanan's like, something don't feel right here.
Yeah, and plus he had that little shot of him looking over and seeing the broken holocrons that,
yeah,
they're broken, but they're still there, reminding us what happened in the second episode of this season.
Yeah.
So, like Kanan says, this is not over. I do think it's interesting, and maybe just because I'm a nerd and I just thought I'd point this out. Hera says, well, is it a Force vision? And then Kanan's like, I don't think so. And Force visions are always crazy. But my question is, did you think it was a Force vision at this point? Or did you think it was something else?
I knew it had to have something to do with the holocrons. Because a Force vision would have been... I feel like you would see more than just some random Joe Blow walking around, you know?
Not only that, but most of the time when Force visions are shown in the show, the person is either asleep or meditating. This is someone who's fully awake and is seeing things.
Yeah.
And so I knew it probably wasn't a Force vision, but yeah, right when you have that to the audience to indicate the holocrons, like, oh, this is connected to what we saw previously.
So later again, Ezra thinks he sees Maul, and Sabine is, running after him, and we have that Ezra point of view shot where he turns around, you see Sabine hollering at him, but you don't really hear her.
Yeah.
And the camera spins back around, and he chases this guy down, and then I thought was very, very dark is that he was literally about to kill Maul, for whatever reason. Now, why he would go straight to that instead of asking questions, I don't know.
Like, why are you here? That would be the first question I would ask. What are you doing here? And then I would probably engage in some combat. But yeah, he literally has to have Kanan hold him back.
Yeah.
And even, I'm sorry, it's just very dark, because even he's like, Kanan, what are you doing? Like, okay, first, this isn't the Jedi way to just strike down somebody. Mm-hmm. And also, I don't know if he's tired or he's just not thinking clearly, obviously, but if Maul's not fighting back, again, I would ask questions.
Yeah.
Because that's not normal for him.
Or maybe he's just angry that he feels like he's being tormented. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
also, I think it was just like, hey, you blinded my friend. Bye.
Yeah, but we kind of, he was...
Yeah, see? We go back to it, and then they just go, well, that happened. Ezra almost killed somebody, but he's good. Now, we're just going to go back with the story of what's going on.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty dark, though.
Yeah, definitely pretty dark.
So, Kanan decides to take Ezra to Bendu for guidance. Ezra tells him that after merging the holocrons, their visions were incomplete. And I hate Bendu because, I shouldn't hate him, but he doesn't give you answers. Like Yoda. He doesn't give you straight answers. Yeah. And he's like, and as an audience member, I'm like, oh, he's going to tell us why this is happening. And then he goes, well, that's not good. I'm like, why is it happening, though? What
didn't answer the question.
And then, when Maul suddenly appears, I was like, okay, Bendu disappears. He just ditches them.
I'm like, peace, bye. Deal with your own problems.
Yeah, deal with it. I'm done.
I will say we get to see something that Bendu says that we'll revisit later is when they first come up to him and they're like, they're surprised to see him there, I think is what Kanan says. And he's like, yeah, you're not very quiet.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that later about how he's not he's sort of tolerating the rebels.
Yeah.
Where they're at, or on his planet, but
Yeah.
yeah, like he kind of just doesn't answer the question and just like deuces bye.
Yeah. Of course, Maul appears and he tells Ezra he wants to finish what they started by merging the Holocrons because, again, he's wanting to gain knowledge or whatever. And again, Ezra kind of goes back to that old, well, this is our last, Kanan's like, this is not a good idea. And Ezra goes back to the old song and Dan said, well, this may be the last time we get to figure out how to destroy the Sith. I'm like, you're on this again. Get off of this. Like,
well, I think, again, that's just, we know as Star Wars fans that you're not going to destroy the Sith. That doesn't happen until Luke gets Darth to kill Palpatine. You're right? So, we know that. Ezra doesn't know that's going to happen.
True. That's true. Oh, I was going to say something. I lost it. Oh, the whole reason, I think what's mainly motivating Ezra to trust Maul, not trust him, but go with him here is because he threatens to
expose the base. Which, I'm trying to figure out how that would happen. Because we get a vague thing about, if you strike me down, I've got something that's going to report your coordinates. But I'm like, where's this at? How does that happen? Is it on your person? Like, if they just stab you right now?
Well, he was holding some sort of, thing.
I don't know what it was. I don't know how that was going to work.
Would you be that quick to be like, oh, they're going to kill me? Wham. Like, press a button?
Yeah, well, would you have enough time? I guess he would. He would make time. The kind of person he is. He would make time to do that.
And with his last breath, I'm going to press this button.
I will say something that's interesting is Kanan asked Sabine to put a tracker on Ezra's wrist comm.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting here because later on, well, actually, we're at the scene where, of course, Ezra decides to go with Maul. We don't have a choice. He's going to report coordinates, all this stuff. And then Kanan says, well, I trust you.
I'm going to trust you on this.
I trust you on this. But you put a tracker...
Yep.
And I don't know if it's not him he's trusting or it's Maul that he's not trusting.
Yeah, I don't know, because there's another part later on the episode where Sabine asked the question that we've all been thinking is, why is Ezra willing to trust Maul again and again? And Kanan responds, I don't think he is, but I do think he's taking a big risk for us. So he's taking the risk to prevent him from exposing the rebellion. But I still ask that question.
Well, I liked that scene because... I felt like this episode, in my point of view, even though Ezra's caught up in this whole destroying the Sith thing, which we know is not going to happen, I liked that scene with Kanan and Sabine because it sort of redeems him from Malachor of being so open and so trusting with him. Yeah, and this episode clearly shows he's not that way anymore. Yeah, and you get little pieces of him not trusting him in this episode, like, drink this potion with me, and he's like, you first. Like, there's little moments in this episode where Ezra clearly does not trust him. This is a complete shift from Malachor where he was lapping up everything he was being told. Yeah. So. So they go to Dothamir. Very creepy planet. Creepy planet, creepy guy, makes sense. They're gonna use Night Sister magic to find their final answers. He has gathered artifacts from his past, including the Darksaber, I'll get it out in a minute, to aid in the ritual. So, we could do a whole, probably hour-long thing about the Darksaber. When I first saw this episode, I had heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it. And I feel like I was like Ezra in this episode, where I was like, I didn't know, is that a lightsaber? And he's like, you could ask Sabine about that, or whatever. I'm like, okay, but what does that have to do with Mandalore? And you were like, it's because you've seen it. You're like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah. Okay, which we get to that later. So they make this little potion, and they drink it, and green light beams from their eyes form a sphere, so they were able to see whichever part they were missing. Before I go any further, what are your thoughts on Force magic? Is that a whole door I just opened? So, I don't know continuity-wise where it was introduced into Star Wars lore. I'm sure maybe out there in the 90s and the Legends stuff, maybe. But where I was first introduced to it is in Clone Wars and the Night Sisters saga. I don't still, to this day, understand it. Okay. It's hard for me to grasp it and understand it. is it the Force? Is it not the Force? Is it a version of the Force? Probably both.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still hard for me to grasp magic in Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when he was like, we'll use, the Night Sisters' magic, and I think Ezra's the one that said it was that they used the Force, and he was like, he responds to in a way where I was like, okay, we have the Force and magic. So I was kind of like you, I was like, what? I don't really understand.
I'll have to go back and rewatch the episodes of Clone Wars to kind of
Is
grasp
it the dark side of the Force, maybe? To do this? I don't know.
Maybe? Yeah, I'll have to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, sorry I don't have the answers to that. But yeah, I always struggled to understand it, even when it was first introduced. I just knew when the previews were about this episode in the trailer, and I saw that green smoke, that suited me and people that watch Clone Wars. Oh, there's going to be some Night Sister stuff going on.
Oh, is there green smoke in Clone Wars?
That's sort of like, I won't say their calling card, but it's usually some sort of green mist that's involved. Okay. And so I saw that, I was like, okay, that'll be in there. Do I know exactly what it is? No, I just know that it's associated with the Night Sisters.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. So they see the other half of the vision that they needed or wanted. Maul responds, of course, it ends where it began, a desert planet with twin suns. So this right here, he knew it was talking about Tatooine.
Oh, yeah, he immediately knew, yeah.
Now, why it took him so long to get there, I don't know.
I think that's what we said the first time Maul's introduced in this season. They're like, you didn't check there to begin with.
Last place you think to look, you know?
Yeah.
So Ezra doesn't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He, though, gets confirmation that Obi-Wan
is alive.
And at first I was confused on how does he know him? And then I totally forgot about the Holocron message in the very first episode.
Season. Yeah. Yep. All the way, it's like calling back to way back.
So they complete the ritual, but it's woken the spirits of the Night Sisters, and they swarm wanting to be compensated for their use of magic. So, like I said, I don't know much about them, but I think Maul says, like, they want our flesh and blood, which is very disturbing.
Yeah.
That would be their price for using their magic.
Well, I feel like magic in itself, in any sort of media, there's usually a cost for using it. And the cost happens to be being possessed by these ghosties. So
did they die? Like, I'm so confused.
So there's Maul is the last. Well, I don't know if Ventress is walking around here at this point. I don't know, but Maul is the last of his kind.
Okay,
they're dead.
So were they buried in this altar, and their spirits are still hanging around, or like?
That's a theory.
I
really don't know.
I have so many questions. Like, how are you?
I know they existed. That's all I know.
Like, shut up, Caitlin. I don't know anything.
You're exposing me of how much I don't know about Dathomir.
So, Sabine and Kanan arrive, and they don't listen to Ezra when he tells them to stay back. They just
that was dumb.
Go right into. I think Sabine starts shooting them. I'm like, what?
Immediately after, stay back, pow pow.
Like, no, it's cool. We got this. We can fight them.
Yeah. Then I'm like, did you have to put Ezra saying that line because it just makes them look dumb?
Yeah. It would have been more just like, wait a second, and then maybe they. Because, yeah, it does make it look stupid.
Yeah, just literally say, get back, and they ignore it.
Under the influence of the night spirits, Kanan and Sabine attack Maul and Ezra. Maul leads Ezra out of the cave where the spirits cannot follow. And this is where he, once again, tries to convince Ezra to join him. Which, I thought he is using him. He's been using him for a while. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's all... it is. So this part was kind of shocking to me. He was like, no, I actually want you to come with me.
Yeah, it was for me too, because initially I thought with the whole Holocrons, he was going to eliminate Ezra once he got what he wanted.
Yeah.
This is very much, well, come with me. And he even calls back again to his brother.
Yeah.
Which is very sad, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't care. I think Ezra feels the same way.
Are you that lonely? Like, you got problems, dude. Again, showing growth on Ezra's part, too, of like, no, this is bilk. No. I'm not buying into the bilk.
Yep.
Like, also, you're asking me to leave my friends who just got possessed by spirits?
Yeah.
So, Darth Maul leaves, and And Ezra goes back in to save Sabine and Kanan. And we have this really cool fight with Sabine and Ezra, where she's got the Darksaber and he's got his lightsaber, and really cool shots of like her jumping in the air and like
like the way the camera movement and stuff is really cool.
Her on that rock as the spider though freaked me out.
It's like some Exorcist level stuff. I was expecting her head to turn all the way around or something. I don't know.
So he manages to get Sabine out by force pushing her out of the cave. But then he has to go back for Kanan. And remember, this was the most like creepy, one of the most creepiest shots for me is when Ezra comes back to get Kanan. He's literally just chilling on that altar, and they're all just kind of swarming around him. It was very, very powerful imagery there.
Well, I wonder if it's because Mother Taliesin, who's sort of the head of the Nine Sisters, was the one that was possessing Kanan. So she's like the leader.
Oh.
And so I do wonder if it's sort of like, then you have the other hierarchy of however that works.
Yeah.
Like kind of just floating around. But it was really creepy. Yeah, then especially when Kanan takes his mask off, you can see the green in his eyes. Very, very creepy imagery.
Yeah. And then, Ezra tries to get her to,
let him go.
Which, again, growth for Ezra. He literally is like, I think before he leaves Sabine, she's like, won't they possess you too? And he says, I'm counting on it. So he literally, from that sentence alone, at least that's how I interpreted it, was ready to sacrifice himself for Kanan and her. Mm-hmm. Which is huge growth for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We do get an interesting battle of Kanan and Ezra fighting. Although it's not really Kanan. Ergo, why Ezra was able to take him down so quickly. It's him being possessed by something. It's not Kanan physically wielding the lightsaber.
Yeah, seeing them two do a lightsaber combat with Kanan, not himself, is kind of cool, but also kind of frightening at the same time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So he offers himself as his host in exchange for Kanan. When they agree, Ezra uses his lightsaber and the Darksaber. So he uses both of them to strike the altar, vanquishing them. Now, how he knew this worked, I don't think he did. He might have just been
winging it.
This
might work. Whichever's the connection, maybe. I don't know.
So with everyone okay, Ezra tells Kanan what he saw. Obi-Wan Kenobi is alive, but they have to find this desert planet before Maul does. And as they leave, Sabine sees the Darksaber and she picks it up, but you can tell she's hesitant about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will say that's something I didn't notice until, because I know later what happens with her and the Darksaber, that she's hesitant to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, it's sort of this, again, we know they don't.
Yeah.
Of what Tatooine is and what Kenobi is doing there. But we don't really go back to this story until 8 episodes later, I think.
Yeah.
So Maul's just kind of, I don't know why he didn't just jump to Tatooine and start from there, but,
well, when we go back to him, he's chilling in the desert. I mean, it's a big planet,
right.
So he may have been trekking in this planet.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Just wandered around this planet trying to find him.
Mm.
So I would have used somebody to do that.
Dude, I would have gave up. I'm sorry. Like, he's very determined to kill this person.
I mean, that's why, if you think about it, that's why I think he used Ezra in that episode later when we get to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't find him. I need help.
You're help finding him. But also, I'm like, dude, I mean, you kind of got something going for you. I'm like, isn't Kenobi one of the whole reasons you're living? It gives you some purpose, whatever, how twisted that is. Like, you're wanting to destroy the thing that's giving you purpose.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting, those two characters in general, especially with the added stuff they've done with them in Clone Wars, of how fierce their
rivalry
has gone.
Well, I mean, it started all the way back in 10 minutes when he cut him in half.
And the dude still lived. Okay.
I do wonder why Sabine picked that up, though.
I do too.
The only thing I can come up with is for plot.
Probably.
For things to come out later about her past.
Probably, and I think she obviously knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was more of a, I can just give this back to Mandalore. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
Maybe it was like, hey, I can give this to Finn Rao. Because Finn Rao's on their side.
Oh, that's right,
Maybe it was that. I don't know. Some sort of loyalty to Mandalore.
Mandalore, yeah.
Yeah. what did you rate this episode?
Sorry, I talked super fast through that. I rated this episode 7 out of 10, but possibly 8.
Okay, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm still on the fence about whether or not it's as good as the first episode Maul appeared in the season.
Yeah.
I felt like the stakes were a little bit higher in the first episode he was in because he was holding the crew hostage. Not saying that the stakes weren't high with the Night Sisters and stuff, but I kind of knew it's like, they can't be possessed forever. Like, they gotta be free.
Yeah. This could be a Halloween episode, in my opinion. It was very spooky and creepy. I mean, you got magic and witches. I mean, I'm gonna call them witches. You know, the Night Sisters, I'm gonna call them witches. But I do like that, obviously we knew we were gonna have to learn the other half of the Holocron. Somehow. Like, it was gonna have to happen. So I do like that we revisited it instead of just jumping into what Twin Suns is going to be. Like, we have a little bit more interaction between Ezra and Maul, showing growth with Ezra here. Yeah, I like the episode, alright.
Yeah, I did too. I like the writing, I like the visuals. It was really good. The pacing was good. I didn't see anything wrong with the pacing at all. Because it's a matter of finding out more as you learn through the episode. I will say they did a good choice, in my opinion, for making this the mid-season finale.
Yeah.
Cutting the season in half, and then we didn't return until January, somewhere in there. So I think it was good on them to, like, because it kind of leaves on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
kind of. What's going to happen with Maul and Obi-Wan. Are they going to stop him? Which, probably.
But this was interesting, too, because this sets up that, because we already, by this point, they'd already released the, I think they might have released the mid-season trailer at this point.
Yeah.
So we knew Obi-Wan was going to be possibly in this.
Yeah.
This is just the first, little giant Easter egg.
Giant Easter egg, yep. Alrighty. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know who wants to go first. But,
okay.
So I have 6 questions here about the episode. Like your favorite moments. Sort of thinking some analytical stuff. But this activity is called Vision Guess. So we'll be answering questions how we think the opposite person would respond. And so there's 6 questions, and so we each have the questions. I'm going to be answering them how I think you would.
Okay.
And you'll be answering how you think I would answer them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I'll ask you the question, and you answer it how you think I would answer it.
Okay.
What did you think of Maul's intentions in this episode?
How would Caitlin respond?
How would I say that? How would I respond to that?
Respond? I think that you would say Maul's intentions in this episode are not surprising because it's following up on something that's already been established with his hatred for Obi-Wan and trying to figure out, he knows he's alive but figuring out where he is, and that's sort of what's driving him.
Yeah, I literally said duh in my brain. Like, duh, generic, it's obvious what he's after, obviously. So,
okay. How would you think I would have answered that?
Oh my gosh, probably the same way I would have. Like, it's very straightforward. There's no guessing what his intentions are anymore. Not at this point.
Yeah, that's about what I was going to say, yeah. Okay, if you were Ezra, what would you have done differently? You are probably going to say that you would have done nothing differently. Because this whole thing with Ezra is destroying the Sith, and that's what's driving him, but also you got Maul holding the base hostage, so you can't really say no, so you have to sort of, like, how you answered it in the first episode he was in, you don't really have a choice. You gotta follow Maul.
I feel like you would have, I don't have anything right now, but I feel like you would have something that you would have done differently if you were Ezra. Or would you?
It's hard for me to get into Ezra's mindset because of what I know and what the audience knows. Part of me would be like, I'm not drinking that. I don't know what's in that.
That's true.
I don't know what's going to happen. Like, not happening. But then if you don't drink it, you're not going to get the answers that you need.
Yeah.
Which is exactly how Maul would respond to go you into doing that. Did you know what the Darksaber was at the end? You did not because you've never seen the Mandalore episodes of Clone Wars.
No, I knew what it was called.
Oh, you know what it was called?
Because for some reason, I don't know if because I was very on Twitter at this time and I was very into Tumblr. I don't know if you guys remember Star Wars Rebels on Tumblr. It was a huge thing.
Yeah, it was. I miss Tumblr.
And I remember seeing people posting that screenshot of Ezra reaching for it, going, "Guys, it's the Darksaber." And I literally went, "Cool. I don't know what that is."
Was that before this episode?
Yeah, it was before the episode even aired.
So you knew what it was?
I knew what it was called, but I didn't know anything about it. None of it.
Okay, gotcha.
Obviously, you knew. Did
Yes.
you know what the Darksaber was? Yes, Kelsey already knew.
What is your favorite animated sequence? Caitlin, I'm gonna say that your favorite was the beginning with the opening, the cinematography of Ezra, his point of view, how it's lit, everything.
For you, I'm for some reason wanting to say the Night Sister stuff with the lighting of the green.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The way the lightsabers are lit in this cave.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same. Yeah. We're thinking the same. What is your least favorite moment in this episode? Ooh. Your least favorite?
I know what yours is. Stay back. Shoot.
Oh, yep. Yeah. Is that your least favorite too?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could have let that line out, guys. That's all I'm saying. It just makes him look incompetent.
Exactly.
Your favorite moment in this episode? Caitlin's favorite moment in this episode.
I gotta think. What is my favorite moment in this episode?
You just want to tell me what your favorite moment
I'm
was?
trying to think. I don't know what my favorite moment would be. Probably, for some reason, when Maul takes Ezra into his little man cave or whatever it is. I thought it was interesting that this, the interesting concept that this guy has just been collecting all these things. And it was interesting for me because, I've said this before, I feel like I was like Ezra because all this stuff he was looking at, I didn't know either. So I started trying to figure out what is that and what's this, and I know Ezra calls it junk, but I was interested because always looking for them little Easter eggs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because also I think Ezra is helpful in the moment because, like I said, he is supposed to be the bridge.
Yeah.
For people that don't have that information,
Why do I feel like yours would be where Maul appears, and I could be totally wrong about this, and Kanan, Ezra, and him have this little conversation about why that Ezra should go with him, and I don't know why that's popping in my brain for you.
I did like that scene because, one, it's the first time we've seen Maul in a long time, but also seeing sort of the characters' reactions to every time we deal with this guy, it's never good.
Yeah.
And so seeing, Ezra's interactions, number one, I think definitely redeems him from Malachor, like I will say.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime he's communicating with Maul, it's very, don't trust you, but I have to kind of thing. Just to get what I need. It's sort of like I'm using you too to get what I need.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. Also, for some reason, the scene where he's fighting the possessed Sabine, I just like the lighting in that.
Oh, yeah.
It looks really dope. Sick. Anything else about this episode?
Nothing I can think of. I kind of rambled through that, but
Yeah.
it is a pretty decent episode.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty solid for the season. It's one of the, if I had to do a ranking, it's up there.
Yeah,
One of the
I
best
agree.
episodes of the season. Yeah.